Hey everybody, today I'm going to review OEM Tools Rechargeable Multi-Use Work Light. Now this is a very compact and lightweight LED work light, and because of that it means that it has some great light output and you don't have to deal with a lot of heat when you use this. Now because you would be, let's say, working underneath of a vehicle and you wouldn't have very good lighting, if you use an incandescent bulb, you know how uncomfortable that can be and you can easily burn yourself. With this, it's extremely slim, it's not going to get in the way, and even if you bump into it, it's not going to burn you because the heat output is almost nothing. Now because it does have the internal batteries, there's nothing you need to pull out to recharge, and you can simply plug the included cable into any USB port and automatically charge this back up. Now what I want to do in this video is give you some closer-up looks at this. We'll see how it compares to other lighting, and then we're going to do testing with it to see how it actually performs. Here's a closer look at the light, and I want to point out that it's roughly 13¼ inches long, about 1¼ wide, then roughly 1½ inches high. On one side is going to be the on-off switch, and on the other side is going to be the charging port as well as a LED status light. When you have this plugged into any USB port, that light is either going to be red or green. If you see it red, it means that it's charging, and when it turns solid green, it means that the unit is going to be fully charged. There are 5 different modes, and those are all going to be activated using the switch on the end. Now depending on which mode you're in, you'll have more light as well as different run times. And you do want to keep in mind when it's on high, it's going to be the maximum coming in at 600 lumens with the lowest run times coming in at 6 hours. If we press the button again, it's going to automatically switch to medium, decreasing the light output to 300 lumens and then increasing our run times to 10 hours. On low, it drastically increases the run times, putting out 50 lumens at 54 hours. And then if we press and hold that button, it will automatically go to Strobe Mode. In this mode, it will run continuously for 14 hours on a full charge. If we press and hold the button again, it will go to Sos Mode. So let's say you're camping and you hurt yourself and you need help. This is the universal SOS signal, which will signal help. And this will run continuously for 19 hours. If we just press the button again, it will then cycle through our high, medium, and low. And then at the end, the light will turn back off. On the bottom of the light, they have 4 different magnets, 2 on one side and 2 on the other side. And those 4 magnets are only holding up 12 ounces of weight. So that means that we can stick it to a painted metal surface or a bare metal surface that's not going to move around on us. And on the side of this toolbox you can see it is locked in place and it's not going anywhere. That's really important when you think about working underneath of an engine bay, for example. You can go ahead and stick this to the bottom of the hood, light up everything underneath, and because those 4 magnets are holding up a very minimal amount of weight, the light's not going to accidentally fall down, damaging the engine or the light itself. Now one thing you do want to take into account if you use those magnets is the fact that they do not have any protective coating on them. So if you are working around a painted surface that could be scratched, it would be a good idea to cover these up with a thin piece of tape, and then you would really minimize the risk of ever scratching the paint accidentally. Now remember, those magnets, although they are very strong, will only stick to ferrous metals. So if we look at this vise, you can see that they are activated and they would stick to that. But the plate that's clamped in the vise is actually made out of stainless steel. This is not going to be a metal that it would stick to, and it would also not stick to this aluminum license plate. So although what you're working on may have a flat metal surface, if it's not ferrous metal, the magnets are not going to work for you. It does include the micro USB cable that's needed for charging it. However, it does not include a power source to plug that cable in. Now it will plug into really any standard cell phone charger. You'll take the micro USB side, plug it in the end of the light, take your USB side, plug that into the little end of the charger, then you can see the light's going to automatically light up. Because it is red, it means that it's charging. When that gets to be a solid green, it means that it will be fully charged. And if you ever see the light yellow, it means that the entire light internally has a charge of 20% or less. So if you're ever wondering if you do need to charge this, when you see a yellow light as you're using it, that's the time that you want to go ahead and plug it in to bring it back to a full charge. Comparing the size of the OEM light to some other lighting, you'll see exactly where the main advantage is going to be. Because it will fit into places where none of these other ones will, and it also has the magnets, we don't have to deal with clamps or hooks in order to use it. Now, many people might use this style, or they might use the cheap LED style that you'd find at an auto parts store. Something like this has terrible light output, and it requires an extension cord. Now, the Milwaukee Lantern is something that I use pretty much on a daily basis. I really like this light, however it does have all the weight on the bottom where the battery's attached, and it does hang, but you must use these hooks on the top. There's no option for a magnet, and let's say I'm underneath a hood or in a very tight area, this would not work for me. The OEM light, because it does have the 4 magnets, will stick right to a surface, and because it is so slim, and the fact that it's not putting out any heat, I can work with it very close to my face or my arm, and I don't have to worry about it burning me. When you're working somewhere that doesn't have a lot of light, let's say out in this driveway at night, maybe on the side of the road repairing a tire, you could even be in a dimly lit or unlit garage, having an auxiliary light is really going to help you out. It's going to allow you to see exactly where your tools are at, as well as what you need to repair. Now, this car, although it's not that old, does not have an under the hood light. So if we were out here doing anything and it wasn't pure daylight, we would have a hard time doing a repair because it doesn't have any auxiliary light underneath the hood. The OEM light is actually going to solve that because it does have magnets on the rear. It's going to stick underneath the hood and it's going to light up the entire engine bay. So what we'll do now is go ahead and pop the hood on this. We'll take a look at it stock without any additional light, and then we'll see how the OEM light lights up the entire engine bay, making our repair much easier. And we can see underneath the hood right now, everything is very dimly lit, and even with the exterior lights on the outside of the house, I can barely see anything under here as far as what I need to work on. Now what we'll do is take the OEM light, we'll go ahead and stick it underneath the hood and then turn it on, and you'll see exactly how much it lights up this engine bay. It lights everything up. There's very little shadows, and it has a very natural light color, allowing us to very easily see the different parts. Now I can go ahead and take a screwdriver and remove the cover off the top of the engine, and because I can see exactly what I'm working on due to that light, it makes this very simple. Something else to consider would be changing a tire on the side of the road. Now you can see that the LED light is doing a great job at lighting up the wheel, all the lug nuts, as well as both sides of the vehicle. And this would allow us to put our jack safely underneath and see exactly what we're working on. Now if you don't have this, and let's say you just have an impact wrench, although these do have a small LED on the front, you can see it is very focused and it would not light up the entire area like the OEM light will. Now what you want to keep in mind with this, because you would have the LED light on the side of the road, the oncoming traffic would see you, you can see exactly what you're working on, you're not going to lose any lug nuts, and it makes the overall job much safer. Now whether that's on high, medium, or low, you can still see what you're working on. And if we turn it all the way off, you'll see what a normal person would have to deal with. When you're using an LED light, because it does light everything up, it makes the job much easier. So now you've seen OEM Tools' rechargeable multi-use work light for yourself. Now this is very compact and lightweight, and because it only weighs 12 ounces, they do include the 4 different magnets on the rear, and really any metal surface that it can stick to, it's not going to slide around because there's not a lot of weight pressing down on it. So even on a vertical painted surface like this, it's not going to move on you. And that means that underneath of a hood, it should not go anywhere. The light output, because of the LEDs, in combination with a maximum of 600 lumens, really puts out a lot of light. It lit up the entire engine bay, as well as the side of the car when we were working in the driveway, and we could see exactly what we're working on. When we compared that to the Ingersoll Rand Impact, even though it does have the LED on the front, it's very directional, and it only lit up 1 or 2 lug nuts at a time, where this one lit up the entire side of the vehicle. And when we consider the size of the Milwaukee Lantern, which is also an LED light that I use all the time, them side by side, you can see where this one will fit where something like this just won't work. So although this does have its uses, and I do really like this light, the OEM light, especially when working in a tight situation around a vehicle, would probably be an ideal choice. Now these are going to be available anywhere OEM tools are sold, and they carry a 1-year warranty against manufacturer defects. So if you happen to run into a problem with one of these during your first year of ownership, OEM Tools will fix or replace it for you free of charge. If you like this video, please click like. If you like my channel, please click subscribe. And thanks for watching.